One of my homies sent me the screenshot for this post that has been deleted. She says, update, my fiance found my Reddit post about the cooking and now he's calling off the wedding. I'm going to come back to that post in just a minute. We have the whole post, but here is at least the title of this first post, which you obviously see she has deleted as well. But the title says, fiance expects me to do all the cooking because I work with food. I'm a food safety inspector, not a chef. So that was the title. You see the post is completely gone. I want to look at a few of the comments because it does speak to the post even though the post is gone. My Reddit username says, if this is real, this man does not give an F about you. You are merely a walking vagina who exists to service him. He probably tells people that you are a chef with full sincerity. Do not get pregnant. Foodalicious says, he is being a lazy man-child. You need to reevaluate your relationship because if you choose to have kids, his excuse not to help with them is that you, as a woman, are the maternal one and should handle all things related to the child. Your fiance is a poster child for weaponized incompetence. Unbuttered Toast says, I can totally see his excuses. You have a uterus, so you are better at taking care of a baby. You have boobs, so you are better at making bottles. You have a vagina, so you are better at getting totally screwed over by someone who should be your partner. All right, Michaela Layla says, LOL, I hate that this is so accurate, but I laughed because your phrasing is immaculate. Weaponized incompetence is a nightmare. Illustrious Bobcat says, that last one made me almost pee a little bit laughing. I have to go back to that last one too. You have a vagina, so you are better at getting totally screwed over by someone who should be your partner. That right there drops the mic. Successful Moment says, it came out of her body. Why wouldn't she have all the responsibility? It all comes naturally. I Can't Forgive says, bro, exactly this. He's not logicking his way into you cooking. He's just slapping a fancy excuse on straight up laziness. And then Jan Lip says, and sexism. Candid Jellyfish says this, he's not only playing like he can't cook, but he's being incredibly sexist about it. And then Tommy's Girl says, and his family is in on it, so it's not likely to change. Run, do not walk away. So that's some of the comments. So let's go and look at the updated post, which she, like I said, has already deleted as well. All right, so she says, I posted 2 days ago about my fiance Carter expecting me to do all the cooking because I'm a food safety inspector and I work with food. A lot of people said I was right to stop cooking just for myself. Well, Carter found the post. I don't know how. I thought I was careful about details, but I guess not careful enough. Maybe it was the Omaha thing or the software developer detail or something. Yesterday morning, he came out of his office holding the phone and asked, is this you? My stomach dropped. I tried to play it off like I didn't know what he was talking about, but he started reading the post out loud, word for word. Then he started reading the comments, the one calling him lazy, the one saying he was using me, the one saying I should reconsider the marriage. He was furious. Like I've never seen him this angry. He said, so instead of talking to me, you aired out our private business to thousands of strangers on the internet. I said, I did talk to you for a year. You didn't listen. He said posting on Reddit was humiliating and betraying his trust, and that I made him look like an a-hole to the entire internet. I said, you made yourself look like an a-hole by refusing to cook for a year. That made it worse. We fought for hours. He kept saying I violated his privacy and that relationships are supposed to be private. I said, maybe if you actually listened when I talked to you privately, I wouldn't have needed to ask strangers for perspective. He says, is this what you're going to do every time we disagree? Run to Reddit? I said, no, this is what I do when you gaslight me into thinking I'm crazy for asking you to share basic household responsibilities. He did not like that word, gaslight, said I was throwing therapy terms around and acting like a victim. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. Maybe we're not compatible if this is how you handle conflict. I asked what he meant by that. He said, I don't know if I can marry someone who puts our relationship on the internet for strangers to judge. We kind of just stared at each other. Then I said, "So you're more upset about me posting than about the actual issue, about me cooking every meal for a year while you did nothing." He said, "That's not the point." I said, "That's exactly the point." He slept in the guest room, and this morning he was weirdly calm, made himself coffee, sat down at the table, and said, "I think we should postpone the wedding." Postpone, not cancel, postpone. I asked why, and he said, "We clearly have communication issues, and I don't think we're ready to get married if this is how we solve problems." I said, "The communication issue is that I communicated for a year and you ignored me." He said, "You went behind my back to thousands of people. That's not communication, that's public humiliation." I started crying, asked if he was seriously calling off our wedding over a Reddit post instead of addressing the actual problem. He said, "The actual problem is that you don't respect me or our privacy, and I can't marry someone who's going to blast our issues online every time she's upset." Then he said he's going to stay at his parents' house until we figure out what we're doing. He packed a bag and left. That was 4 hours ago. His mom called me. She was surprisingly nice about it. Said Carter told her about the post and about the cooking situation. She said, "Honey, I love my son, but I raised him to do his own laundry and cook his own meals. This isn't on you." That made me cry harder. Then Carter's sister texted me, the same one who said I was being difficult before. She said, "I read the post. You were right. Carter's being a baby, but you shouldn't have posted it online." So now I'm sitting here wondering if my relationship is over because I asked the internet if I was wrong for not wanting to be a personal chef. My best friend came over and brought wine. She said Carter is deflecting because he knows he's wrong and the post made him face it, that he's embarrassed and taking it out on me instead of taking accountability. My dad called. My mom must have told him and said, "If he's calling off the wedding over you wanting him to cook his own dinner, he's doing you a favor." But I love him, or I did, or I do. I don't even know anymore. The worst part is our wedding is in 4 months. We have deposits on everything. I have a dress. We since saved the dates. And now it might all be canceled because I made a Reddit post asking if I was wrong. I don't know what to do. Carter's parents apparently told him he's overreacting, but he's not answering my calls. His phone goes straight to voicemail. He darvoed the hell out of this woman, and it worked. His manipulation tactic of turning everything around and confusing her has made her question everything. Now, darvo stands for deny, attack, reverse victim offender. So she brought to him the issue. She does not want to cook every single day, and she feels like he should participate in cooking because he's an adult and she's not a private chef. So that is the issue. So instead of addressing the issue, that's the main issue, he has turned it around. He attacked her. She violated his trust. She violated his privacy. He's the victim now. He's apparently humiliated. Even though none of us regular folks know who he is, he's humiliated and embarrassed. So none of this is his fault. She is the main culprit in all of this because she had an issue and she asked for perspective. None of this is his fault. He says he has flipped it around. She knows that there was a communication issue. She told him, "Yes, we do have a communication issue because you don't listen to me." And instead of taking accountability for his part in ignoring her for a full year, he said, "I think that, maybe we're not right for each other." He says that to her. She already probably knew that he was not right for her, but now he has turned it around and she's confused. And now she's probably going to try to fight harder for this relationship where he is going to use her as a wife appliance. Her best friend and her daddy have told him that maybe he's doing her a favor. He is the trash that took itself out. But now she's all confused and now the situation is muddy because he darvoed the hell out of her and it worked. All right, y'all. Y'all needed to see this. Oh, God. This is darvo in action, and this is how it is supposed to work. This is how manipulators get away with this. And now watch. She loves him, and she's going to try to clamor to get him back, and he's going to end up winning. And she's going to end up being a wife appliance and just suck it up and cook for him simply because he has flipped everything around. I don't like this one. I didn't like the update, but this is what it is. Y'all let me know what you think. Like, comment, and share. This is a post about boundaries and control. Men do not like assertive women that have some boundaries, that know what they like. And so this is one of the main reasons why I will continue to say that women need to use their 20s to learn themselves, get a foundation, learn to be assertive, because men like this will come in and attempt to trample over the whole person that you are, your likes. They'll try to control you. Let's look at this post in the relationship advice. I tried to put that together. All right, let's look at this post. So boyfriend is 31. She's 27. She says, my boyfriend is suddenly demanding. That already makes me clutch my pearls. Boyfriend is suddenly demanding that I stop consuming fictional media at all. What do I even do? You break up because this man is making demands and you are not a goddamn puppy. You are not a puppy to be bossed around. But let's go ahead and look at the post. So this is honestly one of the weirder relationship issues I've ever found myself in. And I feel like I'm losing my grip on what's normal here. My boyfriend and I originally bonded over our shared love of nonfiction. We both went through this big Tudorian history phase when we first met, like deep diving into documentaries and nerding out about Henry VIII's succession drama. I love that about him. I still love that about him. And I never, ever cared that he wasn't into the high fantasy books and shows I adored. It's just never been a requirement for me that my partner shares every interest as me. When it came to watching things we both would enjoy, it would be stuff like The Bear, period dramas that were on the more accurate side, gritty crime series, docuseries, etc., etc. We'd usually have a good time with that, but things really have changed over the past couple of months. At first, it was just small stuff where he gently declined when I asked if he wanted to watch some of the more reality-based shows we both used to enjoy. Then he started making these little comments about how fiction was a waste of time or how fantasy is just escapism for people who don't want to deal with real life. I brushed that off because everyone's entitled to their taste, but as you can see from the title, it's become more than that. A couple of weeks ago, he started getting visibly annoyed if I put on one of my shows while he was in the room, not even asking him to watch it with me, just me watching something fictional. And it was the same with books. He literally scoffed when he saw me rereading one of my favorite fantasy novels and said, I don't understand how an adult can take that seriously. What happened last night is what encouraged me to make this post. I was curling up after work with a blanket and my book, and he told me that he can't respect the fact that I waste hours on make-believe when there's real knowledge out there. He said fiction is rotting my brain and that he doesn't want to date someone who lives in stories instead of the real world. I told him that's ridiculous. I have a stable job, friends, responsibilities. I'm not ignoring reality. I just like my stories. It's relaxing. It's fun. It doesn't hurt anyone. He doubled down and said, if I cared about intellectual growth, I'd stop reading and watching fictional media altogether and stick to nonfiction. I honestly thought he was exaggerating at first, but he's dead serious. He said he doesn't want that stuff in his home and that we need to be on the same wavelength about what's worthy of our time. I told him no, absolutely not, that's controlling and bizarre. He insists it's not controlling, but rather a standard for the kind of life he wants to build. I don't know if this is burnout, depression, some weird identity crisis, something he read online or something else entirely, but it's making me uncomfortable. And honestly, I feel disrespected and a bit angry. I don't know how to talk to him anymore without him acting like I'm intentionally lowering my IQ by reading fantasy. Him deciding to tell her what she can't do is not a boundary. A boundary would be something that he doesn't want to engage in. It would be about him. He's trying to dictate her life. That is not what a boundary is. That is this man trying to control that woman. That's not acceptable. That is a grown woman, and she can like what she likes. She can use whatever form of entertainment. She can read whatever books she wants to read. It is not up to him to tell her what she likes. Now, if he doesn't want to be in a relationship with her because she chooses to read fantasy books, that is on him. He needs to walk away. But he doesn't doesn't get to dictate the types of books she reads and the types of shows that she watches. Many of these men need to be lonelier. And the fact that he found someone to nerd out with him and he's going to throw it away because he wants to be controlling. So many of these people want to be lonely. It's like the exact same story over and over, just a slightly different variety or variation on it. But make these dudes lonelier. Now, here's where I get tagged in. I'm glad that she tagged me. She says, can we get this to BurbNBougie? Don't know how to tag a user, but she literally tagged me right here. When you tag me, you just do the U\BurbNBougie and I'll see the tag. She says, your boyfriend, not your husband or father or guardian, but a suitor with a non-legally binding verbal commitment is demanding that you stop engaging with anything fictional. What's he going to do? Confiscate your library card? And what's next? Forbidding you to partake of jazz and liquor, rock and roll, mixing with the other races, riding bicycles or trains, lest your uterus fall out? I love this. She's mixing in humor with history. I love this. I love this about the women in our community. Tell that goon that he does not own you. He has neither the right nor position to make any demand of you, and that you're giving him 5 minutes out of the sheer goodness of your heart to correct his attitude and join you in this century, or get to step in. No, scratch that. Don't bother telling him off. Just bounce. I know that's harder to do than for a stranger to say, but you deserve better than a petty dictator as a partner. And think about this. He's testing you. If you even think about appearing to submit to this unreasonable demand, and it is wholly unreasonable, who's to say what he'll try to take away from you next? Will he sabotage your employment, your contraception, because what he's trying to do is take away your independence and your ability to think for yourself, to make you completely dependent on him? Any man who would do this to anyone, let alone someone he probably claims to love, A, doesn't love you, and B, is not worthy of the word man. Please, please, please leave this guy. Now, I do want to go back to this part right here. She says, your boyfriend, not your husband or father or guardian, is making demands. But why would her father or a guardian or even her husband have the right to make her stop watching the shows that she likes? This is the issue. Many of these men don't see women as being equals. They don't see women as being humans that have bodily autonomy and beliefs and opinions. They think that they are just supposed to control women. So no matter if it was a husband, father, or guardian, none of these peen havers have the right to dictate to women what their likes are, how they should be using their time. Many of these men need to be alone so that they can sit back and think to themselves about how they can function in a society without thinking that they get to control another human being. So that's where we are right now. Make these people lonelier. Dear Dorothy says, completely not okay. Fiction exists for many reasons, but one of them is that themes in fiction can mirror things that happen in our own lives. Is it possible he's jealous of certain characters? That would be strange, but I've heard of stranger. Is it possible he is wanting to spend more quality time with you, but unsure how to communicate that with you? That doesn't excuse the way he's going about it. You need to find the root cause of his concerns. This type of controlling behavior is an insane red flag. Has he been controlling in other aspects of your life? And here she is. She says, I don't know what he could be jealous of, and we do spend a decent amount of time together. I'm not really a watcher of stuff like hentai or superhero porn, and I don't read traditionally spicy books. Also, my fictional crushes are few and in between and have really lessened since my childhood. I do try to include him a lot into what I'm doing, like if I'm baking, then he's my little taste tester, and he gets to eat most of the failed batches if they aren't inedible. He can be clingy when I'm doing something without him, like hanging out with friends, but he doesn't try to restrict my time or anything. And then this person hones in on he can be clingy when I'm doing something without him, saying, well, he didn't immediately go to banning you from consuming fiction. He started off small and slow, making snarky comments, and then ramped up the controlling tactics. This is a huge red flag, to be honest. He's not jealous in a rational way. You're not acting shady or doing anything like micro cheating. What he dislikes is you having interests that don't perfectly align with his interests. You reading fiction when he doesn't read fiction means that you're a separate person with distinct interests, and he can't bear that. The level of insecurity is insane. So, this is what people are saying, and this is absolutely true. This man does not have the right to attempt to dictate or control her interests. And that's what he's trying to do. And like this person said, he started off small by making snarky comments and then ramped it up. This is how men eventually ramp up to abusive tactics. So no one understand this. Like, comment, and share. I will continue to say being a stay-at-home mom is risky and you need to have plans. B, C, D, E, F, G, elemental P, all of the plans, because you're supposed to follow these people. You're supposed to be dependent. You're supposed to let them be the leaders. You're supposed to submit. But what if they have a gambling problem? What if they're not good with money? What if they're taking all your money, all of the whole family's money, and putting things on your credit and jacking everything up? This is the reason why you need to have plans. B, C, D, E, F, G, elemental P, all of the plans. Now let's look at this Am I the A-hole post. She says, am I the a-hole for asking my husband for a divorce because he blames his financial incompetence on my lack of employment? When women post in these Am I the a-hole subreddits, they are simply looking for validation for feeling normal human emotions, because there is no way that she is the a-hole in this situation. But let's look at the post. She says, hello, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. My husband and I have been married for 7 years. Prior to us getting married, I had my own business and was doing great for myself. My husband is in the military. When we got married, he encouraged me to give up my business and be a stay-at-home mom, which I was fine with. The problem is now we can't afford the bills. He pays for the 2 vehicles we have, insurance, his phone bill, groceries, and gas. We live on base, so we don't pay utilities, and BAH covers our home. He claims I need to get a job because, again, he can't afford the bills. Our bills total out to be about $1,200 a month. He makes about $2,800 a month. And I was confused because he makes more than enough. My car payment is now 5 months behind, and he's claiming the financial stress is due to me being a stay-at-home mom. I had started looking at our bank account. I've never checked it before, and that's on me. And I found out he eats out every single day and spends hundreds of dollars a month on sports betting sites and Steam purchases. We have had the same argument for months, and he just won't stop gambling and eating out. He was spending so much that he started taking out cash advances in his name and my name. And that's what's keeping us in a hole at this point. My credit is ruined, and I'm not okay with being the scapegoat because he can't stop spending money. So am I the a-hole for wanting out? She's in the comments, like answering questions and fleshing this all out. But based on this alone, she needs to leave because he is lying to her and he is doing financial damage to her. So there's physical, emotional, and mental abuse, but there's also financial abuse. And taking out cash advances in her name is impacting her finances. The fact already that he got her to stop working because he's going to take care of everything. And now he has turned it into, I can't afford this because you're not working. That's already right there like mental abuse or something right there. But the fact that he is being financially incompetent, as she says, but also financially damaging her. Not just spending the money that he's making, but also jacking up her credit. And now also jacking up her credit because their car notes or her car note isn't being paid. I'm sure he's paying his own car note. And they have 2 kids. In the comment section, she says they have 2 kids under 8. And I'll jump into some of the comments to flesh some more of this out. But based on this alone, she needs to divorce this man before she gets jacked up even more. She's going to have to pull herself out of the hole that he did. But if she stays with him, that means that the hole is going to get deeper and deeper. And she needs to separate. She needs to make sure that she turns off her credit and make sure that he doesn't do any more damage. And And then she needs to go, like get an attorney or some kind of, I don't know, somebody to help her fix the financial damage that he has already done. Miserable Animal says, what are Steam purchases? And she says, Steam is like a video game library. It's for PCs and Steam Decks. Not everybody knows what Steam purchases are, so I'm glad that she answered that question. I absolutely hate this advice right here. So Butler Chive says, not the a-hole, but if you loved him and wanted to keep your family together, you could maybe offer to bail him out by working for a few months and taking control of the finances. You could tell him that in order for you to do that, there will be no sports gambling. Put phone alerts on the credit cards. Seems to me if you both focus on this problem, you can fix it within a few months. Not saying it's your fault or anything, but how wouldn't you know he's eating out for every meal? Is he taking a breakfast and lunch with him and still eating out? This right here, this would mean that he's actually working with her. He is putting holes in the boat. She would have to be patching the holes and shoveling the water out. This is absolutely terrible advice. Talking about if you loved him. What about if he loved her and their family? Where is the onus on him? And how are you going to make him stop sports gambling? And why is she in charge of making sure that he's spending rationally and reasonably? Here she is responding. He wakes up 3 hours before I do to go to work. I don't really monitor what leftovers or snacks are taken from the kitchen. There's also no if you loved him. I do love him, but I don't believe I should be expected to tolerate repeated lies and deceit either. Old Paleontologist says, okay, but if you can't afford the bills, you literally do need to get a job. Also, you being a stay-at-home wife is a two-person decision. If he doesn't want to support you by himself, you have to start working. Y'all still need to sit down and create a budget. Correct Band says he will start gambling more. And then Efficient Donut says, you clearly don't want information from Reddit. The message is get a job as you're going to be divorced soon. And then here she is saying getting a job is most definitely happening regardless of the outcome. Already working on it. Behold, these comments says, are you a stay-at-home mom with no kids? Edited to add, family of four with bills around $1,200 a month with 2 vehicles. BS. And then she says, no, I have 2 kids under the age of 8. And then behold, the comment says, and your bills are only $1,200 a month? Yeah, no way. And then Stallion says, when you don't have to pay for a house and utilities, it's possible. I don't know why this person is being so antagonistic about the fact that she says she's paying about $1,200 a month. And then he's like, well, how much do you think car payments and groceries are for regular people? And the thing is, this person wants her to talk about these details, but do the details really matter? The fact is he's eating out and he's saying that they can't afford this, but he's also gambling and he is using her credit. So even if her bills were more than $1,200 a month, why is he calling her a liar and being antagonistic to this woman? Lazuli Rose says, not the a-hole, you're going to need an attorney. This is going to sound like blaming, but I really do not mean it to. Always check bank accounts, financials, and keep an eye on bills even when married. You should know what's going on with the family finances. And then she said, I'll provide a little more clarification on the bank thing. I used to check it. We almost went through a divorce about 1.5 years ago. When that happened, he changed all his passwords. When we reconciled, I just never asked for the new one. I definitely should have though, and that's fully on me for not doing so. And then Jealous Guidance says, why did you almost get a divorce 1 year ago? And then she says he cheated on me for about 2 years ago and I couldn't get over it. So he's a cheater and he's financially incompetent. There is no reason to stay with this man. He deserves to be blindsided. He's not going to be blindsided because she's telling him that she's what she's going to do, but he deserves to be lonely. I will end that here. I am glad that she has divorce on her brain. I'm glad that she's working to get herself a job. She already knows how to work. She had a successful business before she decided to be a stay-at-home mom. She's going to be fine. But this definitely speaks to you. Even if you are a stay-at-home mom, you have got to, like this person says, keep an eye on the finances and know and understand what's going on with the bills and everything, so that you're not blindsided by this financial incompetence, so that you can just walk away if you have to. And obviously there's no just walk away. You still have to game plan. Y'all let me know what you think about all this. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And over on my YouTube page, I'm pushing towards 100,000 subscribers. So go ahead and hit that follow button. I absolutely love everything about this next video that I'm about to show you. We have a platform, we have a voice, and now we are saying things straight from the horse's mouth. We are speaking on experiences that women are going through, and we're normalizing walking away. We're normalizing saying that that is not okay, that is not healthy behavior. Because in times past, women would internalize all of these bad behaviors, all of these things that are happening to them, because not all men. And what did you do? What is your responsibility in this? What did you do to make him behave that way? Now that more and more women are sharing these stories, and so many of these stories sound the exact same, it's to say that none of this is right and this is not your fault. And this is the reason why I will continue to speak. I will continue to share women's stories, no matter how many times I get banned, or if I get silenced, or if I get shamed or whatnot. I'm going to continue to share women's stories. Now, watch this next woman's video. Yes, you do see me weirdly pop my head in, because I was like, yes, say that. Because that's just how I am. I was just doing a virtual high five to this woman. Go ahead and check this video out.
Thank you for pointing out what older women did not have 20 years ago. No Uber, smartphone, GPS, and we didn't have voices or support. That's the most important thing. We did not have voices or support. If you think about it, it almost seems primitive how we functioned 20, 25 years ago in relationships, because all we knew was our own experience. And if it was a negative experience in one way or another, we internalized the shame around that as our own. Even when someone else behaved badly, even if someone else was dirty, we took that as a reflection on us, because that's what patriarchy taught us to do. And we kept our mouth shut about it. We wouldn't dare speak about it with anyone else. So we didn't know what actually was going on. No one knew what actually was going on. And women were sitting in rooms with each other, living this outside life. But on the reality, what was going on behind closed doors, it was all the same experience, but no one spoke up about it. Platforms like this allow women to quickly spread their voice and spread their stories around. And, you know, I've got plenty of women coming into my comment section on these videos saying, you know, I wouldn't speak up about this. I would take this to my grave. You couldn't waterboard this out of me. Well, things behaving that way and thinking that way, or even, you know, the shaming and the judgment and criticism I'm getting for sharing these stories. Oh, that's not, you know, a classy lady like you shouldn't talk about that. Fuck that shit. We all need to talk about it, because guess what? We're all having these experiences, or we all did have these experiences before we knew better, and we were just taught to be good little girls, just be nice, just be cool, don't be critical, don't be a bitch. We all were taught this. If you are elder millennial, or if you are Gen X, boomer, whatever, it is time for women to stop shutting up about the weird things, the gross things that happen in our lives, especially when we're not actually the ones who created that weird, strange, or gross thing.